Hey everybody, I am Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy, and I am an elite Dixie Belle retailer here in Ardmore at the Rustic Willow. I'm also a Redesign with Prima retailer and retail content creator as well. So tonight I'm just going to give it a sec, make sure we're live. Happy Good Friday, happy Easter weekend to everybody. And so I don't know if we'll have a whole ton of people on tonight, but I'm sure everybody has plans for the weekend. But, oh, hey, Wanda, how are you? All right, so tonight I want to start off, you guys. I am so thankful, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who donated to the Ukrainian family. The raffle is over. I drew those on Tuesday and it is posted on my page. But the GoFundMe is still up if anybody wanted to donate and didn't. But I just want to tell you guys a total of $1,153 went to the family, which is awesome. So much more than I ever expected. And thank everyone who supported, who shared it, who donated. But I just wanted to tell you guys thank you again. I'm so happy. And I did post just a few hours ago, if you haven't seen it, a video from the family also just saying thank you. So I kind of wanted to start with that. But you guys, tonight we are actually going to be working on this desk. So this desk, I said a year and a half ago the other day when I was live, but I literally painted this desk, I think 2 years ago. It was one of the first lives, I think, that I did. It may have even been longer than 2 years. It was a long time ago. Oh, thanks, Wanda. So I actually hated it at first, and I literally covered it with a tablecloth and stuck it in my laundry room where it's been sitting, getting laundry thrown on top of it and everything else. So you guys, I'm trying to finish up some projects that I started like that. And once I uncovered it and dug it back out, I actually like it now. So we're just going to finish this up. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and finish the transfer, which is a Redesign with Prima transfer. It's Music and the Butterflies. So we're going to finish this drawer up. I've already got it over here, and I'll show you guys a close-up. And then we're also, something else I rarely do on a live is I'm going to go through different options to protect, and then we're going to protect this piece as well. I always feel like protecting is the boring part, so I rarely do it live. Hey, Thelma. Just dropped by for a minute. Oh, well, enjoy your dinner. Happy Good Friday. Happy Easter weekend. Hey, Anitra. Sorry, you know what? I stuck my glasses in here and now I don't know what I did with them. So sorry if I can't read everything that's popping up. Hey, Debbie. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Oh, and let me tell you guys what I did to this. So I'm not going to lie. I would have to go back and find the live. I actually did this live on Redesign with Prima a long, long time ago. So, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I love to share, and I just love painting, and I love sharing it just so everybody can, try it out and get that joy. But, so I primed this with something. I'm not going to lie. I can't even remember what it was. I would have to go back and find those lives, to know. But as far as painting it goes, it is an ombre blend. I've got Antebellum Blue down here on the bottom. And then I've got, oh, thank you. Good. I'm so happy. And then I've got Vintage Decade here. And then that's blended into sea glass. And then I have a little highlight of Fluff up here as well. And then I did do all these molds also. These are Redesign with Prima molds. And I do carry these in the store as well. I do have some at Vintage 72. But the majority of my inventory is at the Rustic Willow. But I've got the butterflies over here, and I'll bring you guys in for a closer up. I think this is Delicate Flora. I think these might be Fragrant Rose. or Etruscan rose, one of those. And then I've got some postage stamps over there too. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then I did do these drawers with music and the butterflies. I'm going to end up using some of these silkscreen stencils. We probably won't get to it tonight. These are Dixie Belles butterflies. So we're going to go ahead and start over here with this drawer, and then we'll get to the protectants. So I'm going to go ahead, bring you guys in and drop you down so you can actually see close up what we're doing here. Sorry for the little ride. And you guys, if you have any questions, if I do happen to miss them, I will go back and answer after the live, but I will try to get to it on here. I can't see anything. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Thank you. So let's see, let's pull it up a little bit more. So I'm only doing the transfer just in this little section on the drawer. And I think I have 2 sheets of this left. It's going to be really hard for you guys to see when I hold it up because it's obviously white on white. But I will go ahead and, you know what? Blending, Anitra said she still struggled with blending. It is definitely practice. Just practice, and I would say don't think so much about the technique. Just kind of see how your colors are flowing and do it. If I think too much about it, painting becomes difficult for me. So that's probably my number one advice. Don't think too much about the technique. And I would probably say too, if you're just starting to blend, definitely, I would say pick colors that are closer together, like vintage duck egg and sea glass are super easy to blend because they're so close to each other in tones and on the spectrum. Oh, Wanda, you will. you do. You've made some beautiful pieces. All right, so let's see. I'm just kind of trying to find a section that I want to go with here. And I think I'm going to do this bottom part right here. So the first thing I want to do, you'll see that, oh, this probably isn't the best for the live because it's so hard to see. But there's an extra portion down here that's not part of the transfer. The first thing I want to do is just go ahead and cut that off. Actually, maybe I don't hit myself in the head with the camera today, but let's see here. So the first thing I'm going to do, it cuts in 2 sheets as well. Here you can see. You want to be really careful that on this clear section that you do not touch that where the transfer is, because it's really, really easy to, let me see which way I was going. Here we go. It's really, really easy to damage that transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this extra strip off the bottom right quick. I probably should have done this ahead of time. And I normally do not like to cut with scissors. I don't know that you guys can see this, but all I'm doing is cutting straight across here at the bottom to get that excess off. Normally I like to use my paper cutter, but this strip is just too long going this way, so let me see how far I have to go up. I'm not very good at cutting a straight line, so got a little ways over to go still yet. Actually, I'm terrible at cutting a straight line. This probably won't be straight, just so you guys know. That's why I'm not holding it up. I know you're probably having problems seeing it. All right, so now I've got to the end. So what I want to do here is just see, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Just cut up so that the transfer is at the end, just going in a straight line here. And that's really enough. So let's see, I'm going to go over. So this isn't just a nice little easy rectangle either. So I will take off the excess in a little bit, but I am going to go ahead and cut it off straight up and down here. Hopefully I don't mess this up when I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get a smaller piece to work with, so it'll be a little bit easier to mark it off and measure it out. So we're just going to cut across here because I know this is wide enough. I'm not keeping it in a straight line either. There we go. All right, so now we've got a section that we can work with and get the right size on. Oh, hey, Felipa, how are you? Happy Easter. Good morning. All right, so here we go. Let's see. So I've got it up and down this way. So what I want to do is just get the height on this. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this right across here. And I could tape it up. That would probably be just a little bit easier. All I'm doing is scoring it straight across so I know where to cut it off at. And I can see that straight line. So this actually, and hopefully you can see it, see that how that makes scoring it there? It makes that mark so I can cut a straight line across. So we're going to go ahead, and I've got to hold it a certain way so you guys might not be able to see. And this is kind of hard sometimes to see this score mark. A lot of times I'll take a Sharpie and just go across it so it's easier for me to cut. I'm also not too worried about the straight line on this one because the way it is, I can overlap it a little bit on the edge. So it's not really visible. Let's see here. Almost got this cut. All right. And then we're just going to go ahead. So see, I definitely did not cut it straight. This is why I use a paper cutter. I'll probably go ahead. Yeah, I'm definitely going to trim some of that off. But so you guys should know that I really don't measure much. I probably should. It would be much better. Let me score this down so I've got it a little bigger than I wanted. So I'm just going to go ahead and shave that off. This is why I also normally mark it with a Sharpie. So that way I can see where I went off track there too. All right. So now, so that's good enough. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to kind of score this around here. Same thing. So you can see that little mark right there. We're just going to cut it so it's going to fit in here. This does not have to fit perfect just because of the way this transfer is. Otherwise, if I was using a brighter colored transfer that stood out more, like some bright colored flowers or something like that, I would be a little more diligent in making it an exact fit. But it's just not that necessary on here. Okay. I've also got letters that run all different ways, so that's another thing that helps kind of not make it a little bit easier. Perfect. So now I think we've got what I want to do. I don't want to spend too long on this part. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and shave just a little bit more off the bottom of here. And by the way, when I use my paper cutter and measure, this doesn't happen. This is why I normally do not use scissors. Here we go. So that'll work. So when we take it off, that sometimes doesn't work. You know what? So I didn't see all the stuff up here. Oh, yeah, I never measure. And if I do, it's with my fingers. I'm terrible. Also fiddling. Right. And you know what? That is another big thing, knowing when to put the brush down. And I'm going to tell you something. There are times that I blend and I'm just like, oh, this is the most horrible blend ever. And then I come back the next day and it looks perfect. As your paint dries, when you first paint it, your paint is drying at different degrees because some of it's more moist than other areas. Some of it's thicker, so it's drying slower. And that makes the colors look different. So if you walk away, don't overwork it. When you walk away and come back and it's all dry, it melts together. Let me tell you another trick too, because a lot of times, like, there are places on this that I did not like the blend at all. So one thing, and we're going to get into this a little bit with the Protectant, but one big thing with this is, and actually that's one of the reasons I put it away. I didn't like the blend on it. But if you use a fine grit sandpaper, once it's dried, and go over, just do a very light sand, it's going to kind of meld the colors together a little bit. So that's one trick. So like if you have an area that just didn't come together, if you just do that light sand over it, that will help. Take the dust off with a tack cloth. And then when you protect it with something like a clear coat, that's going to actually help bring it together a little bit more too. And you're not going to see all of those variations. All right, so we just took the back off here so you guys can see what this looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up on this left side over here. And then we're going to run it all the way across. So I'm coming and I'm actually pressing this down left to right. I don't want to start in the middle and then go across, because that's one way you can get bubbles and wrinkles. And by the way, this is a textured surface. Somebody did a horrible paint job on here and I could have completely sanded it off, but I kind of liked the texture. I wanted to use it to my advantage. So let's see how far this is going to bend over. Yeah, I do have this still too long. So I'm going to take my little X-Acto knife and this, I'm going to cut across, right across here. Actually, I'm going to leave that. I think I'm going to take it off and just, because that is a little bit too high. I'm going to go ahead and stick this down first, and then I'm just not going to stick that part, and I'll cut it at that point. So when you're putting on a transfer, so I've already pressed it down. Now I'm going to go across it with the transfer tool, just to really make sure that it's sticking. Same thing, left to right. I want to make sure you guys can see and that I'm not in the way. Sometimes it's hard with a transfer. My head just gets in the way. Let's see. All right, so now that that's really good and pushed down, that, ooh, I just lost all the comments. There we go. Sorry, I'm not seeing new ones yet. Oh, thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start on this side with pulling this back. So it was really easy for me to get a hold of this clear plastic, but let's say you're in a tight spot and you can't get a hold of it, you can just take something like this or painter's tape and just, you know, go under and lift it up a little bit so you can grab it with your finger. But let's go ahead. So the one thing about this is when you're releasing with words, you have a lot of connection points that start and stop on the transfer. It's not one large image. So these will typically release a little bit slower. But in the areas that you're pulling up, rub over that area. And that will help it to release a little bit faster. And I'm really going along this top part because I want it to release but not press down. as you're pulling up, if you see a section hasn't released, you can just go ahead and push that back down. I will tell you too, one thing I do not like about the sticks, and I should have been doing this, is if you run it across, I'm going to lick my finger and wipe it off. Yeah. So if you run the stick across your paint finish, a lot of times it'll leave a little wood mark on it. It'll come off if you just wipe it with water. But you can actually take a plastic piece like this, you can put over, and that way you can rub it down and not have to worry about that happening if you're close to the edge like this one is. So I'm going over this texture in the middle right here, so it's taken a little bit more to release. So on this top section, it's too long, but I'm just not releasing that top portion. So I'm just not rubbing on that part. I'm just releasing the rest that's down from it. And then we'll go ahead and cut that excess off if we need to. So now that I'm close to the end, I don't want to accidentally tear any of this off at the end. So I'm going to, yes, you mean with the wood stick? Prima also has it. I have one around here somewhere. I just didn't get it out. Actually, I have a few. They have a plastic applicator tool, and I feel like I can get it to release better with the stick, but the plastic is nice too, depending on the area that you're working with, because you don't leave marks. So that's a nice thing. But so I don't want to rip this off this way. So I'm going to actually come over to this end right here. And I'm going to start, I want to release it in the middle. And I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera, but it's kind of hard to do coming in from this angle. Let me grab that up again. Hopefully and I've got one little spot here that's being a little persistent, but I just got it down there. So now I'm coming to the point where my transfer is going to totally release. And I just want to be really careful that I do not completely rip it prior to it releasing. So that's it. We've got this section on, and I'll bring you in for a close-up because we're on the top where we've got a lighter paint color, so it's more subtle. And I'm just running my X-Acto knife along here. I want to take off that little bit at the top. So I did the cut, but I don't want to pull. I don't want to rip it. I'm actually going to use a finishing pad. And by the way, these can be distressed. But I am going to use a finishing pad, and that, because I cut it, will take off that just like I was distressing up there along that edge. Kind of like you would do with decoupage paper when you sand it. You can do the same thing with this finishing pad. So I'm just taking off all that excess where I did not cut it perfectly. You do want to run the X-Acto knife over it, because if you don't, you're likely to rip the transfer. But that's it. So now that I've got that down, I'm going to go ahead and burnish in my transfer. I've also got this section right here that went over my drawer holes, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out. Well, I'm actually going to do kind of the same cut the way that I did before. And then when I go over it with the burnishing pad, it's going to come right off. Or not. Got that one little piece in there. I may just need to get some tweezers or something and pluck that out. Or actually, you can also go like this and just get that right out. All right. So I just want to make sure these are letters. So again, there's a lot of connection points. It's not one solid design. So I just want to go over the whole thing, make sure that it's really stuck down well. Once we start to protect over this, if this is not stuck down well, it can get moisture under it, and over time it can crack and peel. So you just want to make sure that this is a really important step. Don't forget this. I just want to make sure where I've got all this texture that is really on there. Perfect. All right. So I'll bring you guys in really close. Then we're going to go ahead and do the protectant over this. Sorry, I hope I'm not making anyone sick, but this way you can kind of see it a little bit better. I'll bring you over here too. Let me move you up a little bit. I can't really see what you're seeing there, but hopefully you can really see how that comes out. All right, so I'm going to stand you back up. You're going to have an odd view of the wall there. But there we go. Back down. All right, so now we're going to talk protectant. I'm going to do some more transfers, possibly on the side and stencil, but once I do this step, and of course I'm going to be doing a lot more to this. I'm going to do a wax on here to really bring out all of these details. Probably going to use some silver gilding wax. I'm not positive about that yet, but I'm going to use some type of gilding wax. So my next step though, once I finish the paint, once I finish my transfers, is to protect. And the reason that I protect, a few different reasons. One, you want to make sure that you protect over a transfer so that it's on your piece, you don't have it peeling off or anything else. But not only that, before I go to stenciling or anything like that, if I don't like some of my designs, I can easily wipe it off if it's protected. If I don't protect first, this surface of chalk paint is so porous that whatever I do is going to sink right into that chalk paint. I'm not going to have control over it. I'm not going to be able to manipulate the wax, for example, to only have it, in the details. I'm not going to be able to do any of that. So that's why I always put a coat of protectant on after this step. Always. And just to give you an idea, I'm actually going to talk about a lot of different protectants. I really never do this on a live. Oh, thank you. I really never do this on a live. I just think this is the boring part. But, obviously it's good information. So with the Dixie Belle has a ton of protectants. Right, exactly, Anitra, you learned it the hard way, and that's how I learned a lot of things, I hate to say, and sometimes those are the best lessons too, though, but it's easier if you guys can learn from the dumb things that I do. That's always helpful. But some of the protectants, so my go-to is always a clear coat. And it comes in 3 different sheens. This is satin right here. I've got flat. These are my go-tos. It also comes in gloss. Let me be honest, I've never even used gloss. I don't like gloss. I don't do a lot of modern pieces, which I think are really what gloss looks good on too. But I just don't use it. So these are my 2 go-tos. And we're going to protect this with satin tonight. So we'll talk more about these whenever I start. So another type of protectant is going to be the Best Dang Wax. By the way, clear coat's fine to use over a transfer. So Best Dang Wax, clear, you're always going to want to use clear first before you use a darker wax color. Just because clear is what is going to allow you to manipulate those darker colors. So you've got clear wax. It looks white, but it's clear whenever you put it on. Wax, Best Dang Wax, makes the paint, chalk paint particularly, I think it gives it a gorgeous sheen, a gorgeous feel. But wax has to be redone over time. And when I say over time, it's a year, But I sell furniture, I want it to last, and I don't want my customer to have to go back and do anything to it. So that's why I use wax a lot for decoration, for dimension, for the look, but I don't really use it as a protectant, but it is a protectant. You also have Easy Peasy Spray Wax, which is a super easy wax. The easiest protectant ever. I do like to use this on fabric. Mainly I just use it on fabric, but you can use it as a protectant as well. Like if you're keeping it in your home, and you can easily touch this up every so often, this is great. But easy peasy, the way you use it, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you shake it up till you can't hear it anymore. You spray it on, you wipe it to smooth it out, and you're done. And it's totally that easy. Like I said, I mainly use this for material. So then there's also Gator Hide, which we've been out of forever. And I have a couple 32 ounces. This is all I have, and I use it really sparingly. I use this for outdoor stuff. It is water repellent, which is what makes it. This is water resistant. This repels water. So I use this for outdoor stuff. And for kitchen tables, the tabletop, I do the bottom and the clear coats because the clear coat's a great protectant. This just repels water. It's like an outdoor thing. So that's why I use it on a tabletop. I also use it on cabinets. So every great once in a while I do a cabinet job, not that frequently. But I do use Gator Hide for that. So that's why I have some held back. So the Best Dang Wax, Easy Peasy Spray Wax, and the clear coats are all good to go over a transfer. Gator Hide, do not use it directly on top of a transfer. So I do welcome signs porch cleaners with transfers. I protect in 2 coats of the clear coat, and then I protect in Gator Hide because the clear coat is creating a barrier between the transfer and my Gator Hide. So the Gator Hide is never coming in direct contact with the transfer, so it's fine. But to put this directly on your transfer is going to be ruined. You're not going to see it ahead of time. 3-4 months from now, you're going to look at the piece and your transfer is going to be cracking and peeling. Sometimes it happens sooner, but so do not put Gator Hide directly on here. There's something in the raw materials for this that doesn't go with. Also, I'm going to talk about some other protectants right now. Do not put these protectants over a transfer either. So there is, I'm sorry, I hope this isn't too boring for you guys. Trying to get through the talking part quick. There's Big Mama's Butter, which is oil-based. It can be used as a protectant. I don't ever use it as a protectant. To me, it's just not the strongest. Gator and transfers, I did it. You know what? I did it too. And then I know, me too. The hard way, back to that. Oh, thanks. Good, Anitra. I'm so glad. So Orange Grove, like I said, this one's Orange Grove. It's like Suzanne's Butter, flannel, and unscented. But this, though, I don't use it for a protectant. This is amazing on drawer slides. And I tried all the little tricks like beeswax, wax, soap. I can't even remember all the things that I've tried with drawer slides. This stuff is amazing. It's also great for like conditioning inside the drawers and stuff like that, giving it a really pretty smell. You know, I just don't use it as a protectant. And then there is also hemp oil, which I don't even have here. I don't use hemp oil. If I did cutting boards or something like that, hemp oil is 100% food safe. And a lot of people like to use it, especially over blacks, because we're going to talk about that with clear coats in a second. But I just don't use hemp oil. A lot of people love it, and you don't have the issue of potentially getting streaks over like caviar or something like that. I don't really have that problem too much anyway because I'm such a thin painter. But a lot of people like to use hemp oil for that. I don't use it. I don't even have it here to show you. So, but those are the protectants. So we're going to go ahead and get started with my go-tos. I keep mine in FIFO bottles. And we're going to do satin. And the reason I'm going to go with satin on here is because I am going to do a wax. I want my wax to easily slide around. So I find that satin has the best sheen for that. Flat, you get workability with it, but it is more flat. Think about your walls. You know, if you get the satin, you can wash your walls and everything's great and it comes off. Flat, if you get flat walls, you can't wash them as easily. It's the same thing with this. If you use satin before you do like a decorative wax, it's easier to manipulate and move that decorative wax around. You have more control. That's why I'm using satin. If I want a flat finish on this, later I can go back and put a flat finish on it, but I don't. Flat, you can work it around. Sometimes I use this, especially if I'm going for like a heavier antiquing or something like that. But that's not what I'm doing tonight. I really want to be able to manipulate whatever I put on here. I also don't exactly know where I'm going with this, so I want the full ability to wipe off whatever I don't like. So that's why I'm picking satin. So I'm going to tell you something I've heard, and I can't really tell you this from experience either. I've heard people say that protection-wise with the clear coats, flat does not offer as much protection as satin, and satin doesn't offer as much protection as gloss. I don't know if that's true from a chemical or whatever perspective. I haven't really found that. I have just found as far as workability with wiping things off and stuff like that, it's easier. The sheen makes it easier. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really, you know, if I did a scratch test or something between flat and satin, I haven't found any issues as far as the protection itself is concerned. So I put a little satin here. It doesn't take a lot in my cup. And we're just going to do some protecting. So another thing about protectants, the trick if you want to use a clear coat to not get streaks over your darker colors is to protect with flat first. So let's say I wanted a satin finish. Let's say this was painted in caviar. I put a flat on here and then I just put satin over the flat. It glides on better over the flat than the paint, and I don't have an issue with streaks. So that's one trick. I'm going to go ahead and drop you guys down a little bit more so that you can see all of what we're doing here, because I'm going to kind of start at the bottom with the protectant. All right, there we go. So now when I protect, a lot of different ways you can apply it. If I'm going on a totally flat surface, I like the applicator pad. It just goes on fast, easy, and thin. You know, but with legs like this, it's just not really that easy. The blue sponge is great for applying too. But I do like to go with certain brushes when I'm doing certain areas. So for legs, I always like to use either a small round or a small large. Hey, Julie. So I just put it on. So it looks super milky. And the thing about this is you do not want to overwork it. Overworking is what gives you streaks. And it's going to look streaky when you put it on because it looks like milk. And it dries just like the paint. And we were talking about with the blends, just like with the paint, it dries at different rates. Sorry, you guys, I'm just trying to make sure what I'm hitting here. It dries at different rates, so it's gonna look streaky. Do not be tempted to go back over it. As soon as you feel this protectant start to drag, stop, because that will give you streaks if you start dragging it around. So if it starts to drag, stop where you're at. If you missed a little spot, do not be tempted to go back over it and get that spot. Wait till it dries, then go back over it. You want to work with it quickly. It does have a much greater work time than Gator Hide. Gator Hide to me is like glue. You've probably got 2 passes and you're done. Maybe 3 if you're lucky. Kind of depends on how fast it's drying. If you're outside, wherever. So like when I do legs too, especially since I'm coming down here to my darker paint color, I don't want those streaks. One thing I'm going to do is offload my brush first. That's what you see me doing like this. And then I brush it out to fan it. And that's it. I'm going to pull this around because I want to get this whole leg at once. And I want to get this, I spent a lot of time talking about this, so not as much time working on it. So when I am going around something like this, you do not have to, you don't always have to use like a brush stroke with this. So like one thing that I do a lot of if I have texture or molds is I will actually stipple it on. I have texture in this, so it's not a big deal. I'm getting into all the little cracks and crevices. You don't really have an issue with streaking either because you're not pulling anything back when you're stippling. I just want to make sure that it's well protected. Because I will only do, well actually I probably will do 2 coats because a lot of times I no longer protect over wax because I just have to wait too long. So like I will do my decorative wax. I'll do my protectant like this. And then I will go back in and do my decorative wax. If you spray, it's a little bit easier. But if you're protecting over wax, you know, you really have to wait several days depending on your area because it can easily smear, like if you do black wax or something like that. So you just want to be quick about this. Let's go ahead. I'm going to move it along. Just want to be quick. Make sure you're getting your coverage. Don't let it drag. And actually, I do want to pull this drawer out. I haven't done my drawer inside yet. So it's kind of bad looking in there still. I guess you don't have that angle though. Probably a good thing. I just want to make sure we're good and protected and in all of these little grooves here. And you guys, I'm a super thin and light painter. That's another reason I probably don't have some of the issues with streaks. I do not use a lot of product. I'm very little product. And I spread it out a lot. There we go. You might have some little pools. Those will dry clear. They'll probably look a little milky, but they're going to dry clear. You just want to make sure you don't have any drips or anything like that. And it doesn't take a whole lot of passes with this unless you have a whole ton of paint on your brush. Then usually it is a little bit more. But this is it. I mean, this is it. I will use a bigger brush too when I come to these drawers over here. So again, I'm going to start stippling it in along here. I want to make sure it's good and protected around my molds. You can do a little swirl. You know, my little doggie, she's been so quiet, but she's starting up now. You guys want to hear something funny? I don't know. She's fine when I watch TV. But if I turn on any lives on my phone and she hears anybody's strange voice, she barks the entire time I have the live on, unless I put it on the TV. All right, so I'm just going to finish up this section. We've been on for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to pop off. But you guys, thank you so much for hanging out too. I hope you have a wonderful Easter weekend. And hopefully we're having nice weather, everybody where you're at. I was wondering. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My little, yeah. She's very talkative. It's very rare I have a live without her talking. And by the way, one other thing that I do as well with my brushes, well, most of my brushes are dirty right now, but let me just show you. And this makes a difference. I'll come back and get the rest of this area. I think you guys have the idea. So like if you see, so I only use a flat brush for blending. You see, I always end up with some dried up paint. Clean as a whistle is great to take that off, but I'm really kind of bad about that. So on my brushes that I use to protect, I try to use a brush that has no dried paint on it, because if you have just like a little bits of like white paint or dried up paint in your brush and you are protecting over something dark, those little bits can come out, get stuck in your protectant. I don't know about anybody else, but those little white spots, especially on a stained top, drive me crazy. So I do try to keep some brushes that I only use for protectant. Or sometimes I use them for paint, and then I try to clean them out with Clean as a Whistle before I go back and use them to protect. But hopefully you guys got some needed information about that, or about protectants. And again, thank you so much. If you know anybody who could use this video, please share it. And I will be on again Monday night on the Chalk 101 page at 7 Eastern Standard Time, 6 Central Standard Time for me. So thank you so much. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll go back and answer any comments that I missed. Now I use the same one for top coat. Yeah, exactly. I learned that the hard way too. It took, the worst part is it took me like a couple years probably to learn that. Oh no, Anitra, thank you so much. Thank you. You guys take care. Have a good night. And thank you again for all the donations. If you didn't see the video, go back and check it out. They made a poster and everything for everyone who donated. So take care. Night. Oh, thanks, Cheryl.